They say cornered animals are the most dangerous. Well, that applies to soldiers too. Let's travel back to the Korean War, a conflict defined by brutal fighting and incredible acts of bravery. In the midst of this chaos, one story stands out. A testament to what a small, determined group can achieve against overwhelming odds. This is the story of the 23rd Infantry Regiment and the Battle of Chipyeong-nae. In February 1951, the war was at a critical juncture. The Chinese People's Volunteer Army had just launched a massive offensive, hoping to shatter the UN lines. Right in their path was a small, isolated crossroads village called Chipyeong-nae. Defending this seemingly insignificant spot was the U.S. 23rd Infantry Regiment, along with an attached French battalion. They were completely on their own, a tiny island in a sea of enemy forces. The commander of the 23rd, Colonel Paul Freeman, was a man forged in the fires of World War II. He knew what he was up against. The Chinese strategy was simple: human wave attacks. They would throw division after division at his position, hoping to overwhelm his men through sheer numbers. The UN command, seeing the dire situation, gave Freeman the option to retreat. His response? A flat-out no. He knew that if Chipyeong-nae fell, the entire UN line in Central Korea could collapse. They would hold the line, or die trying. So, Freeman and his men dug in. They created a tight 360-degree perimeter around the village, turning every hill and depression into a fortress. They knew the attack was coming. It was just a matter of when. The night of February 13th, the sky lit up with signal flares and the bugles began to sound. It was an eerie, terrifying symphony that signaled the beginning of the assault. From every direction, the Chinese forces surged forward. They came in waves, a relentless tide of soldiers charging into the American and French machine gun fire. The fighting was savage, often hand-to-hand. The defenders of Chipyeong-nae were outnumbered at least 5-1, some estimates say even more. The enemy swarmed their foxholes, and the perimeter bent and buckled under the pressure, but it never broke. For 2 days and 3 nights, the battle raged. The men of the 23rd were exhausted, low on ammunition, and fighting in freezing temperatures. They repelled attack after attack. When one machine gunner fell, another would take his place. They used bayonets, trench knives, and even their fists to drive the enemy back. Colonel Freeman himself was wounded, but refused to be evacuated, continuing to direct the defense from his command post. The key to their survival was artillery. The UN artillery units, positioned miles away, fired round the clock in support of the besieged regiment. They created a curtain of steel around Chipyeong-nae, a deadly ring that decimated the attacking Chinese formations before they could even reach the American lines. The coordination was so precise that shells were landing just yards from friendly foxholes, a terrifying but necessary tactic known as firing on your own position. But artillery couldn't stop every attacker. In one sector, the Chinese managed to break through, and it looked like the line was about to collapse. It was here that a small group of soldiers, led by a lieutenant, launched a desperate counterattack. They charged headfirst into the breach, fighting with a ferocity born of desperation. Against all odds, they pushed the enemy back and sealed the gap. It was this kind of individual heroism, repeated all along the line, that saved the day. By the morning of February 15th, the attacks began to falter. The Chinese forces had suffered staggering casualties and could no longer sustain their assault. As reinforcements from the 1st Cavalry Division finally broke through to relieve the beleaguered garrison, they found a scene of utter devastation. The ground was littered with the bodies of the attackers, but the 23rd Infantry Regiment and their French comrades were still standing. They had been completely surrounded, cut off, and massively outnumbered. They were told to retreat, but they refused. They held their ground and inflicted a stunning defeat on a much larger force, halting the Chinese offensive and turning the tide of the war. The Battle of Chipyong-enai became a symbol of incredible resilience and is often called the Gettysburg of the Korean War. It proved that courage, discipline, and superior firepower could triumph over sheer numbers. It's a powerful reminder that even when you're surrounded, even when the odds seem impossible, the fight is never truly lost. Thanks for watching. If you found this story of incredible bravery as fascinating as I did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more tales from history. See you next time.